Thanks for tuning in to Leggari products today. We're excited to show you floor kit number 4. If you're interested in updating your floors, check out the description below for more information. Enjoy the video.
Okay, at this point you have everything taped off, everything's ready to go, you've got your primer down, and now we need to lay down the base coat and the highlights for each section. And again, you have your sections that are actually taped off in terms of on the wall, like we teach. You want to know that, all right, my base coat needs to go at least this far. So we want to show you what it looks like to lay one base coat down with some highlights. Now, whether you have a huge room or a small room, you're just going to do this in each section, and we want to kind of show you how fast that goes. So this is a 135 square foot floor, or it would be a 135 square foot section on your project, and you would just continue to do this on each section. So the first thing you want to do is we have our base coat mixed up, and I'm just going to pour it about a foot off of the perimeter of wherever I want this epoxy to be. You can have a little bit more, you can just pour that down the middle if you want. And we can just leave our bucket upside down for a few minutes because of the way we teach you how to mix. I'm not worried about leaving the bucket upside down. Then you'll want to grab the squeegee or the magic trowel, and we're going to start leveling this off. Now, if I just put this down and push hard like I'm squeegeeing water, you can see it'll just move the entire pile. That's not what we want. We want to just hold it down at about a 30 to 45 degree angle, and we're gonna let the squeegee's weight do most of the work. I'm even gonna hold this at the end most of the time, and I'm gonna allow the weight of the squeegee to just kind of begin to level it out a little bit, and I'm gonna try to manipulate the head of it. I can get it right near the edge, maybe a little bit off the edge. You don't want to run it completely into your wall or underneath your walls, but that's all I'm going to do. And notice I can kind of control the pile depending on which way I have this head going. So let me pick this bucket up. And obviously at this point you're wearing spikes, either probably metal baseball cleats or spike shoes. You want to walk very flat-footed. You're going to feel pretty dumb walking in these things, but you do want to be careful that you don't get too off balance. You want to really have a center of gravity. Really try to walk over the shoes because it can get slippery. So again, I'm just going to hold the squeegee down pretty flat. I'm just going to begin to move that pile. I need to actually go this way. And the weight of the squeegee is going to do most of the work. I can push down just a little bit if I wanted to, but I don't necessarily need to. And the weight of that squeegee is just going to begin to move this pile. And I'm going to go around the perimeter. I probably want to be a little closer to my edges here. Even here, I'm a little far off the perimeter there. And I don't have a wall here. You're probably going to have a wall of some sort, so I'm just gonna pull mine back onto the floor. If you have a wall there, that's no problem at all. You probably just have a little bit of product underneath your wall. And I'm going to be moving slow because I'm explaining the process. You don't have to go this slow. I mean, as fast as you can work, that's fine. Getting the perimeter set up usually takes the longest. Okay, now that I've got the perimeter done, I'm gonna start moving my bead. I'm gonna start moving the pile the same way into the center of the area that I wanna coat. Now I've got a big pile here. I'm just going to begin to move that around a little bit to places where I know it's probably a little bit thinner. So the idea of the squeegee is that the squeegee is going to move the material around about 90% of the way. Then we're going to grab a roller and we're going to finish off moving the epoxy around. And the beautiful thing about the roller is the roller, as you just roll it, the weight of the roller is going to pick epoxy up in thicker places and drop it off in thinner places. It's amazing. So you can see the floor is I've pretty much moved the material everywhere with the squeegee. It's pretty quick. Now I'm just gonna grab a roller. Now this is a 9-inch roller. It's 3/8 inch nap. We always recommend 3/8 inch nap. For your project, get an 18-inch roller. It'll make this whole process go much, much faster. So this is a 9-inch roller, but you want an 18-inch roller with a same thing, 3/8 inch nap, and you want to roll it on tape to de-shed it. Once it's de-shed, it's ready to rock, and you're going to have this ready, obviously, before you start the floor. Now what I want to do is, the first thing I want to do is actually saturate the roller with epoxy before I start cross-rolling. So I'm just going to find some darker parts of the floor, and I'm just going to start soaking up epoxy in the roller. I want to get the roller completely saturated with epoxy. So I'm not trying to level out the floor right now, I'm just getting the roller completely saturated. Now that it's saturated, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the middle of the floor, and I'm just going to begin to level out this floor, just the weight of the roller. I'm not going to push down, I'm just going to allow the weight of the roller, start in the middle of the section. I'm just going to let the roller roll. When I get near the end, I'm just going to pick it up and roll back the other way, all the way across the floor in that section, all the way to the end. You can hear it's a little bit sticky because it hasn't really started to self-level yet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving over about an inch, then a full roller width, and I'm just going to move across the whole floor like this. Now notice I'm not even pushing down, and there's some thick spots here, so it's actually pushing a pile. So when I get near the end, I'm gonna pick the roller up and then pull back in. So you never wanna push a pile off the floor or into a wall. So I'll show you what that looks like. Notice how thick it is right here? So I'm moving that pile, it's starting to get thinner, but so I don't push it off, I wanna pick it up and pull that pile back in towards the middle. That's it. That's the key to cross rolling, is you're just overlapping about half a roller width, get to the end, pick it up, pull the pile back towards the middle. And I'm not pushing down. Pick it up, pull the pile back towards the middle. The roller is literally doing most of the work. And what we're doing is we're leveling out the floor now. So I leveled it out about 90% of the way, and now the roller's gonna roll it out the rest of the way. And by the time we're done cross-rolling this, it's almost gonna be completely level. There's gonna be an even amount of epoxy spread out on this floor the entire length of the floor. And I can notice it's a little bit thicker here in the middle. That's okay. I'm not worried about trying to move epoxy around. A lot of people try to move epoxy around, and it's kind of a waste of time, because by the time we're done with this whole process, the whole floor is gonna be leveled out. I pick it up, I'm gonna pull that pile back. Again, remember guys, notice how I'm always picking this up before I hit the edge, because I want to pull back the majority of that epoxy to the middle of the floor, or even bring it over here to this side of the floor if I need to. Got some that's kind of off my floor a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna go the other way. So we have pretty much our epoxy leveled out from this side of the floor to this side of the floor. Now I want to make sure it's level from this side of the floor to this side of the floor. So it's the same idea. Start in the middle, push it to one side. Before you hit the edge, lift the roller up and pull that pile back towards the middle. It's a very fast process, but we're just leveling out the floor. And I'm not pushing down with the roller. The roller's doing all the work. But notice how, because I've leveled out the floor one direction, I'm not really moving piles of product around anymore. That tells me that this floor is really level. At least the product is dispersed evenly across this floor. And when you have an 18-inch roller, it goes even faster. If you have an 18-inch roller and you've done a good job with your squeegee, you may not even need to cross roll and go the other direction. I mean, that's kind of your discretion, but if you can, we definitely recommend it. So yeah, this is leveled out amazing. So we'll do this side of the floor. All right, now what I'm going to do is I want to show you a squeegee technique. So it's a very easy technique, very simple, but it's nice when you can actually watch somebody do it. So we're gonna just use the same squeegee we had before. Now this is kit number 4, so it's a silver base, black highlights. You can do it with any color combination, but I'm just gonna randomly go across this floor and I'm gonna open up sections of the floor. I'm just going to take my squeegee, I'm gonna pull the epoxy. I could even kind of make little weird ones. They don't have to be a straight line. You can even just open up the floor. You're just gonna push down and move the epoxy. Might do a little one in the middle maybe. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our highlight color and we're gonna begin to dump the highlight color. Now be careful that you don't dump it all out at once, but we're gonna begin to fill that gap that we opened up with the highlight color. It's nice to start putting highlights all the way across the floor so that you don't run out of highlight color. You can always come back and add more, but at least get a little bit of color all the way across that section. Okay, so I've pretty much got black all the way across the floor. I'm gonna go back and make sure I haven't missed any spots and then maybe add some more black. I'll add some more black over here as well, even though I didn't separate it. It's pretty even. So it's real simple. We leveled out the floor. We separated some of the epoxy down to the primer, and now we're just going back and we're filling in those empty gaps with the highlight color. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our squeegee again. And guys, I'm doing this talking and moving very slow. You have plenty of time. I mean, you don't want to take all day to do this, but you have plenty of time to let this floor do what it needs to do. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna let the squeegee just glide on the top. I'm not gonna push down real hard. And I'm just gonna help it kind of level out those areas. I'm not pushing down crazy hard. And we're just trying to spread out that black. And it's gonna look like a mess at first, but I'm just kind of moving epoxy all over this floor again to level it out. But because the floor actually is level, it's a lot easier. Notice how it's kind of bouncing? That's okay. The squeegee can bounce. Doesn't really matter. But you can't really do this until the floor is completely leveled out. Almost looks sloppy. When this is done, it's gonna look absolutely beautiful. Don't be worried that you're ruining the floor. I'm definitely trying to get rid of like the real hard, sharp lines that I made when I squeegeed the floor and opened up the floor back down to the primer, because I want it to look, I don't want it to be real hard lines like this. So sometimes I push down a little bit harder and then level it back out with the squeegee. But notice how I'm trying to hit the whole entire floor. Even if I'm not putting color there, even if there's no black there, I'm still trying to hit the floor to take the squeegee across it, because, and it'll make more sense when I show you the finish of the floor. But you want to hit the entire floor. You want to start from one end of the floor to the other. Now, if I was thinking, I would have started on this side of the floor and worked my way out, because that's where the mixing station is. So you want to start at the end of the job, or end of the section you're on, and work your way out or towards the next section. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some isopropyl alcohol. And this is 91% or higher. I'm going to start at the end of the job, because let's just say I'm going to work my way out towards that. Or I guess I could work my way out towards this side, because that's where the mixing station was. And I'll show you. I'm going to open this up to where it's shooting pretty big drips. You don't want to find mist like that. And you want to pour it slow, so it kind of looks like that. I'm just going to do little tiny trigger pulls like this, not pulling much. And I'm just going to walk backwards and all the way across that section. And it gives it this really cool depth. It's kind of a very artsy type look.
Say anything else?
Now this will level out even more. These colors will continue to move. Even from what it looks like right now, it'll look completely different tomorrow. It's absolutely phenomenal. But this will give it a good base to move over the next few hours. So we'll show you what that looks like once it's pretty much leveled out. The one thing to consider is that when you're spraying isopropyl alcohol, if you have massive drips and big puddles, you run the risk of the floor going all the way down to the primer. If it happens to go all the way down to the primer, let me see if I can see one. I can't see any yet. You're just gonna take your hand with the glove on, you're just gonna dab it a little bit and it'll fill in. So if you have a little tiny bubble like this, you just pop it. So it's very simple. You're just kind of looking over the area, and you can even walk back on it with the spikes. Once you're done spraying it, you're not gonna hurt the floor as long as you're careful on the spikes, but it's that simple. Now, most of the time, if this was a big floor, I would do this section, then I would just move over into this section, do the base coat. I would have somebody behind me doing the highlights, and I'm just doing the base coats ahead of him, and he's following and doing the highlights and squeegeeing behind me. So you just kind of work as a team in sequence, but you could see even me stopping and explaining that it was still a very fast, simple process to do.
What an incredible video you guys just watched. If you want your projects to look the best, then you need to use the best. And with Leggari products, that's exactly what you're gonna get. There's no torching to get rid of bubbles and only a 7-day full cure time as opposed to 30. And remember to visit our online store at Leggari.com to get your kit today or just a single item. And remember, Leggari.com has you covered.